Hello again, everybody. Harry Boxer, the Technical Trader, techtrader.com. It's Saturday, June the 3rd, and this is the weekend webinar. Well, a very eventful week technically in the market. And many stocks we follow, and certainly indices, broke out above key resistance. Looks like we're headed higher. We'll see how much further. The spike high from August on the S&P got us up to 23.25. And right now we're at 22.82, just about 43 points away from that. We can do that 1% more and we're up there. And then beyond that's the channel top, up around 44.50, 44.25. Those are potential projections on the fifth wave. Here's a 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like the fifth wave up in that zone would be a substantial resistance anyway. The NASDAQ 100, even stronger as it plows through layer after layer of resistance and through the top of what looks like a rising wedge, but certainly now maybe headed for 15.5, give or take 100 points. The small cap index finally coming out of a little base pattern with a big day on Friday at 3.75%, huge. 182.20 of 655 breaks us out over that 180.81 range I was talking about. We should get a follow through, and we may see small caps really take off here. Current projection is 189. Transportation index similarly broke through a declining top line, but not necessarily lateral resistance yet. So it's looking weaker, but more promising. Underlying technicals are showing that the oscillators are not that overbought yet. They have a big spike on Friday, though, up 79 points from -2 to +77. And that you don't see a gap like that too often. Overbought and more of a concern would be 180.85 to 200 to 225. The VIX is down at the lowest level we've seen since November 21. But we've seen historically even lower levels of a complacency down in the 10-11 range or even a 9. So I'm not overly concerned yet, although it is lowest we've seen in quite a while at 1460. Just a couple months ago, it was trading up in that 30 range. Let's look at some of the underlying NASDAQ 100 generals. Apple's been on a tear. From the January low, we saw the Apple down to 124. Here he is, 181. And 181 is near the all-time high, which was 180. It's like 182.94, folks. We're just a 1.5 points away from all-time high in Apple. It's really been ripping. Amazon breaks out through key resistance. It's already broken the declining top sign after a 5-wave decline. Bottom form, this was a concern, that island reversal, which led to that big retracement, which held there's some key support. Reversed and then split up 88 and 124. That's the highest level achieved since September of last year for Amazon. Google, powerhouse looking chart. First of all, the long decline, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, triple bottom base, breakout to resistance and coil, and this is the big breakout. When we got over 110, they went vertical to 127 and change, and now forming a wedge right up here that probably leads even higher with the target of 136.7 and 145.6. Microsoft looking very good too. Powerhouse move, and that too is approaching its all-time high. Reached at 349 and change back on November 22nd of 21. So it's a year and a half or more since we saw this level on Microsoft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, a nice base, a breakout, a retest, a rising channel. Strong move on Microsoft. Has seen this go from the January low near 220 at 335. Netflix. Powerhousing along and breaking out of a coil, still in a beautiful rising channel. And you can see that there's room to run to 460.65. Meta, powerhouse, again, very strong rally. 88 to 272 since November. There's a big gap in here that it's filling. Could get us to about 295.99. And Tesla, certainly a long V-bottom platform, three-way corrected pullback and right back up to resistance. Take a look. This high here, before it reversed back in February on Tesla, reached 217.65. The high Friday, 217.25. We're right there. An extension and Tesla goes to 237, about 24 more points. So pretty strong stuff on most of the NASDAQ 100 channels that we follow closely, including Tesla, even Netflix, and even Meta, and all the stocks that were trailing at some point come along for the ride. Look at AMD, strong, strong, strong. Multiple waves up against a resistance zone right here, but powerful look to it. Now accelerating vertically before the pullback this week. Semiconductors due for a rest, I think, but the rest of the market's moving along. Let's take a look at some of the major ETFs we follow. Semiconductor group in particular. Here's the SMH, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't know if it's done yet, and we may test the all-time highs on this one, which is up around 160, 159 and change. Yep, almost 160, just under 160, and we reached 151 on during the week. So along up in that zone may be tough for semiconductors. That's why I'm thinking they need to rest. What about financials? Well, they're trying to recover, but they're really trailing badly. A lot of it has to do with interest rates, I'm assuming. And biotech, not exactly ripping it, but we've moved up, holding these lows and the pullback lows here. Key support, XPI, for example, 82.5. My target's 90, 92 and above, and then 95. Nice basis built over the last year for XPI, for example. Little LABU, not quite the same pattern. It still hasn't broken out, a little bit weaker than the XPI, which is more lateral. Either way, though, we need some extensions. Oil, the USO, weak. And a bear wedge may have broken last week before the late snapback based on OPEC trying to cut production. Gush, similarly, needs to come to this declining top sign or a breakdown here through multiple bottoms could lead to a nasty slide and a move down into the high 70s, low 80s. I wouldn't be shocked, but we got to wait for this multiple bottom support level on oil, particularly on Gush, to be broken before I can say it's going lower. And nat gas, well, what can I tell you? Everybody thinks nat gas is bottoming, but the KOLD keeps going higher. Matter of fact, it just broke through a triple top on Thursday, Friday, reaching 192, the highest level we've seen since March of 22. This is a reverse split, by the way. And on Boyle, which is an UNG, all-time lows. Just when it looked like they were bottoming, more new all-time lows. How about UNG is under 6. In August of last year, 32. Boyle, can't even begin to tell you what this looks like. How about 123 to 240? I don't see a bottom, folks. Not yet. I need this thing back over 3 before I can say, well, this is definitely bottomed. And it's got to be with volume 2. Terrible chart. So we got a lot of stocks to look at. And just quickly look at gold, the GDX I'm seeing 5 waves and a lot of ETFs for gold and silver, etc. Here's AGQ. And when you look at Nugget, my favorite trading instrument for gold, 1, 2, 3, 4, right at the bottom of the channel, and it's bouncing. So they look promising. So gold and silver, but I can't say we bottomed, although a move to this area would bring us back up to retest the recent highs in April and May. Lots of stocks to talk about. I had to cut it down. This is a long list, folks. Let's take a look at them. These are nothing but bullish. ACLX, strong chart. A top 20 pick for the year. You can see the pattern. Pop coil, pop flag, pop, and another mini one. It does look like a long-term 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So less reliable up here, but I wouldn't be surprised if this went to 50, 55. ANSS. Oops, sorry. ACVA. Beautiful base, breakout flag, pop wedge, and pop again. This looks to me like 20 and 22 are targets. Good momentum. ADMA, same. Nice flag underway. Mid-channel target 4 3/4, and then 5 3/4. AEHR, nominal new all-time high on Friday, or it's a double top. Either way, I should say, I'm seeing the possibility that this could be a $50, $60, $70 stock down the road if things continue well and it breaks above here with energy. AI went bonkers last week until it got whacked. Look, when you get up, 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 and then spike, you'll often see a stock pull back and test. Right now, the pullback is taking us from 46, was it? 44 to 30. Very quickly, be careful. ALDX, yet another biotech with beautiful chart long term. Breakout, retest, run up, consolidate, and you can see that if this breaks out above 11, I'm looking at 13 or better. AMAM at Tech Trader Swing, popped out of its wave 4 coil and started a flag. Target 21. 18 and 21. Actually, AMD, we showed you. APLD, long base, breakout, rising flag or wedge. Target 13 and 15. APLS, Tech Trader Swing, popped, broke out, ran up, and now it's coiling. Feels like ready to run again. Retest of 95 and then 106 to 110 range for our targets. APP breaks out with a breakaway gap and flag. That's where we went long. Then it ran up to near resistance and stalled. You can see the flag right there. My target, 30, 29.30. APYX breaks out of a base, rising flag. Looks like we're going to 7.5, 9, and 11. Arlo, base, breakout wedge, rising channel, pop, rising flag. 11 1/4 target coming up. Atomera, Tech Trader Swing worked really well and pulled back. Then it went up again and backed off. I obviously need to hold 785 and then get through 10.5. Your targets to 12 and 14. EVDL, a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave and then a long rising channel followed by a breakout and a coil. Target 17.5 and 19. ECUL. This is South American airline, I believe, with inverse head and shoulders. There's your breakout, there's your breakthrough, and there's your target. 16.5. BASC, a beautiful long-term base, broken. Base broke out. Base went through resistance. Base has the target now 25. BLBD, inverse head and shoulder, breakaway, pullback retest, breakaway gap, long multi-month falling channel, which tagged the trend line, spiked and retested, ran up, and now it's a flag. Folks, 32.3, 39.40, both targets. BMEA breaks out of a base with a breakaway gap, pulls back in a falling wedge, runs up in coils. Feels like it's about to break out of that coil. It's ran a resistance here. If it goes north, we could be quickly $40. Kaba, big run up, coil, pop, flag. Really interesting pattern. The pullback held the trend line, lateral price support, and the 50. but we're at resistance. Key is the target at 13 3/4, then your target 16. Kaba, we talked about. Up next is CARG. I put this out this week. I wanted to see this pattern which broke out from the coil and popped. Friday was a big day for it as it closed out above resistance. Right now, my target is 22.5. Big day on Friday for CC. He sold the division for a lot of money. The stock popped from 27.25 to 34.25 and held near the highs. There's a lot of resistance up at 37. That's my next target. CCJ looks like uranium stocks are coming out. This has had a big run up, but in the last year it's gone sideways. Well, it's finally breaking out of the base, it looks like. I'm targeting 32.5 and then 35. CFLT coming out of a base. Nice week last week, up every day from 28 to 35. Close 34.71. Good momentum. A little bit of resistance right here, but if it gets through 39 to 43 are targets. CGNT tech trader swing popped, pulled back. We put a swing on it, then took a month to consolidate further, but broke out. Up every day last week. Now looking for 5.5 and 6.5. CNSP pop, falling wedge, pop, little wedge. Make it a pennant. And broke out big time on Friday. 22%, 10 million. The follow through should get you 3.5 and 4.5. Cocoa, Vita Cocoa, big reversal back in November and straight up from there. 731 to 27. Almost 300% since November. And yet this flag tells me it's going even higher. Targeting 30. CRBP breaks out of a base, runs up, pulls back and wedges. Really interesting looking pattern. My target's 13.5 and 17. CRSP tech traded swing when it popped out, then pulled back, and then went vertical. Tag my swing target, and now it's consolidating for the next leg. Targeting 78.85. Carvana pops out, coils, and breaks out. I think we're going to extend to 20, maybe 21, 25 or better. The Daktronics pop, pull back, and rising channel has been doing that for 6 months. Looks to me like $8 is your next target. DraftKings popped out. We put a swing and then put into a falling wedge and kept going. At this point, having gone from the mid-teens to mid-20s, I'm looking for 30. EDIT pop, flag, pop, and flag. Still looking for more. 12 and 14 targets. EDU 1, 2, 3, 4. The big fourth wave consolidation has a triple, quadruple top. So 46.75 would be a target. Beyond that, 55, 57. ELF has been phenomenal this year, having gone from the low 20s to 105. What a chart. And it's flagging. Next target, 114. ELTK recently in 2 weeks has gone crazy. From under 4 to over 10 with a little pennant in between and now another wedge forming. Targeting 12. ELVN, Enliven Therapeutics, pop coil, or pop little pennant coil. Right now, rising channel, but lateral resistance targeting 28.30 and 35.7. ETNB has been up for a year and it's gone straight up from 2 to 19. I think this has more to go. Looking for 26. EVLB breaks out of a base, pops, forms a wedge, breaks out, and backs off. I still think you're going to see 7.5 3/4. Extra. A wonderful three-wave move and then a long consolidation breaking out Friday. The long-term chart shows the possibilities that if it holds this angle, we're looking at a $30 to $33 stock. FDMT, a top pick for the year, coming out of a wedge, I believe. Friday was a good day for it, but we're going to have to see where next target is about 23 and 26. FRO in the shipping group, a phenomenal rising channel, maybe coming out of a falling wedge. If it does, Targets are 17 and 19.5. First Solar, big move, pull back pennant, and nice pop in the last couple of days that says to me we may be retesting 230. GNX, V-bottom platform, and a stair-step 5-way move up before the pullback broke out Friday. Looking for a retest of 6 and then 7. GE, well, phenomenal stock. Really, when you think about it, 47 to 105 for General Electric since October is a hell of a move. And it doesn't look done yet. Quite frankly, momentum calls for a move that gets it up to 125 or so. And GRTX, base breakout and a nice little flag type pattern targeting 5. GSIT, this tech trader swing popped the wedge. Inside day Friday, actually it was more of an inside day because it was outside the pattern, but it finished poorly. Let's see if this follows through. My target is 9 and 11. HEAR, beautiful triple bottom base breakout, and now a platform in the form of what looks like a wedge near the apex right there. The measured move calls for a move that takes us to 15. HLIT, long-term pattern, phenomenal. Real long-term pattern shows a 20-year base, and we're coming out of it. Keep an eye on this one for run-up into the mid-20s, at least. Harrow, one of my top picks for the year, is doing great all year until this week. Boy, it got hammered for 4 days, taking it from 28 change down to under 20. 1841, what a hit that took. So that one you needed to move aside to reevaluate. IAS, big downtrend, big uptrend. Now, having moved from 6.5 to as high as 20, a triple, they need to rest in here. Eventually, though, I will look for moving to the mid and high 20s. IDCC breaks out, pops up and runs to resistance, then backs up, but it popped again, and now it's flagging. 95 and 104 are targets. Immunogen, tech traded swing when it broke out, just kept going, and now it's flagging. Rising flag tells me higher. 17 and 20 are targets. IMTX, long downtrend, breakaway gap out of a base, runs up to resistance and been flagging for a month. If we take this out, I'm looking for 11 3/4 and 13.5. IMVT, one of my top picks of the year, still going. Now in a 1, 2, 3, 4. Although Friday was a nasty little negative reversal day, I would be careful under 19.5. But if it does get a fifth wave, 24 and 28 are potential targets. INOD, all-time highs, folks, nominally, and breaking out, but it needs to accelerate here. If it doesn't, it backs off. Nevertheless, 15 and 18 are long-term targets. Intel based, broke out, pulled back in a 3-wave corrective. They look like this. Spiked up. Form a little flag in here, or wedge. The targets are 34 and 37. INZY with a beautiful rising channel, breaks out wedges, flags, rising flag. Right now, I can see the stock at 9.5 3/4, and maybe 13, 14. INOQ breaks out of a base, but it's had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move. Friday was a nasty day for it, so be careful with this one. Should it get over 11 3/4, I'd have a target of 17. That could be powerful if it pops. IoT breaks out, flags, pops, it flags again. Wedges, breaks out, big day on Friday, breakaway gap, a run-up of 31%, 21.6 million shares traded, follow-through targets of 27 and 32. Iovance breaks out of a base and a long-term declining tops line, and then pulls back and tests, and spikes. Currently, wedging in this area. A breakout across here, and we're looking at 10 and 12. Iron, beautiful chart, base breakout, pullback retest. Pop, flag, and pop. So really good reversal pattern. It looks like it could move higher. I have targets in the mid 40s and low 50s. JFN, base, breakout, retest, sharp run up in multiple waves. Now at let's see, 2-year highs. If it spikes, we can see 14. Up next, Joby. Tech trader swing working well. What kind of an inverse head and shoulders? It's trending. My target, 7, and 8. Copen, a big base, a breakout. When I got above 2, I put a swing on it. It went to 250 and backed off. I think the pullback is an entry up for a move to 3.25 and 4.5. LASR also coming out of a base where it appears it might be. Keep an eye on this one for a pop over last week's high. And it gets over 15, it's on its way to 20. LFCR, spike down, run up, spike up, and wedge. I think we're looking at 11, 9.5 and 11 as targets. LI, my one favorite stock in the Chinese electric vehicle group is a tech trader swing. I'm looking for 35 and 38. LWLG coming through a long declining tops line. And so I'll go from the low 20s to the $4 range, finally forming a quadruple bottom there, coming out of a falling wedge and breaking through moving averages. They've turned around. You can see the run up and the consolidation, targeting 9.5 and 11.75. MOD popped a wedge from a 2-day little consolidation and popped again. Really strong move. Let's see, 17-year highs. We're going to be shocked to see 40. MRAM coming out of a base, spikes up, looking for a retest of 9.5 and then 11. Micron tech trader swing, broke out, pull back and tested, then spiked to target number 1. Target number 2, 85. MBIS vertical from 182 to 530. Almost 520. And then the pullback. So let it rest for a bit, but the next targets are 6 and 7. NAB, enable, NABL, popped, wedge, and popped again. Targeting 15 and 17.5. NEO breaks out of a base, pops here with a breakaway. There's a falling wedge. There's another breakout. There's another flag. I think we're going higher, 21, 24, 29 targets. NEOG, 1, 2, 3, and then a long coil, but it popped out last week. Looking for a run to around 20.5 and 23. NERV popped the double bottom, and now it's coiling beautifully. Targets are 8, 8.25, and 13. Nanox, one of the best swings of the year. Popped and pulled back. We put a swing on it. I think it was 9.75. The stock ran into the low 20s. Now my target's going to be 27.8. NVIDIA, the tech trader swing after a pop that doesn't want to back down. Not by much anyway. And if it does get to 435, 475 is my target. NVT, base, flag, pop, and wedge. Wedge breaks out. Testing the highs here, 50, 55 targets. Navitas Semiconductor, B bottom, wave 1 and 2, wave 3 is underway. Consolidates in wave 4, we get a move to 11. OCOL pops the resistance, pulls back, and it's breaking out here. Friday was a big day for it, up 82 cents, but it broke through key resistance to a multi-year high, targeting 8, 9.5. OMER broke out Thursday, followed through Friday to resistance and backed off. I'm still looking for an extension to 9 and 10. OPRA, one of the strongest stocks this year, has gone from under 4 to near 18, more than 4-fold increase. Has momentum, but careful, it's overbought. PACB, 1, 2, 3, 4 tests now platforming or flagging right there at resistance. Should we get higher, 16 and 19 are targets. PATH breaks out of multiple triple tops and out of a base. I'm targeting 22.3. The ESI is a beautiful bull flag within the confines of a larger wedge, which tells me if it pops, we're looking at 15 and 20. That should be a swing trade. That was great. PETQ as well, base, breakout, backing and filling along the moving averages. Once we get up through 14, you're looking at 17, 19. Palantir, what a wonderful 3 weeks on this one. Vertical from 732 to 1522 for more than double. My target now 17.5. PPSI popped out of a nice wedge. It has a big measure move. 4.5 points from here. I'm making around 9.25. My targets are 7.5 and 9.25. PTGX breaks out of a coil and is moving. Targeting 30 and 37. QTRX breaks out of a base, pulls back in test, pops in the first target and pulls back in a flag. Looks like it's still stepping up. 28, 31 targets. Redfin, pop, pullback flag, starting to move. Retest at 12.5 would be in order. Rambus, very powerful semiconductor. Long-term move is phenomenal. High single digits to mid-high 60s. And now flagging. 75 target. Ryovant, one of my top picks of the year, broke out of a base, ran up, pulled back to the test, maybe breaking out again. Should he get through, let's call it through 980 to 10, with targets 12 and 14. SCPH, stair stepping its way higher all year. As an extension target around 14.5, 15. Shopify breaks out of a base, pulls back, moves up slowly, pops, and now it's in a falling wedge at support. A retest of 65 is in order. Soleno, long pop, coil, breakout, rising flag. Now, there's some key resistance just above here, but I believe we can see $9. SOFI, long base pattern being developed, but a big run up in the last 2 weeks. We saw it go from 4.5 to 7 and change. Now looking for 8.25. SSYS going to be acquired apparently. SYM with a beautiful rising channel now looking for 43, 45. TDC, Teradata, base breakout, coil pop, and rising pattern. Looking for a test of the low 50s. TGTX and a bull flag with a strong rising channel with a target of 37 and 48. Tenaya breaks out of a base, pops the wedges, breaks out of the wedge, and now it's in a rising channel with a flag configuration targeting 10. The trade desk, long pattern and a nice rising pattern and chest. Look at 87, sorry. Uber, once he gets above this consolidation flag, 44 is your target. UCAR had a monster pop and then pull back on Friday. Keep an eye on it. There's support just beneath here, about 8.5, 3/4. Target would be mid-teens. UIS, after popping out, we put a swing. It backed off and bounced to resistance and backed off again. Key point here, if it holds, if it does, targeting 4 3/4, 5.25, and 6. Upstart, beautiful rising pattern, pop, retested the moving average, went vertical, hit my target and backed off. Now we're going for target number 2 at 38. Viking, fantastic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ultimate targets low to mid 30s. VRNA, top 20 pick of the year with a pop flag, a breakout, and a long consolidation. Once we get to 27, targets are mid 30s and low 40s. WLDS, big pop, rising channel, inside day Friday. If we pop 2.5, I would look for 3.5. And Zuo, coming out of a base, double top with a breakaway gap, looks like it's headed for 12.5, maybe 15. And that's it for longs. We do have some shorts to cover real quickly. And here they are. I'm not enthusiastic about the shorts, but I want to show you what I got. Starting with APA, yeah. Starting with APA. You can see that the stock from here, where I shorted it, at 41, it did drop down to 31, bounced back to 41, and back down to 31, and it's a little bit all over the place right now with multiple bottoms here. Should that thing break 30, 30 and 3/4, then I see it plunges into the mid-20s. ACPM, breakdown, bear wedge. I like this to continue to go short for 150 and 138. BOX is moving back up again, so careful here, but it's right at resistance or near it. Any further damage and recovery. CF, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down. Maybe time to cover. We'll see. Clearfield been down since December when it was 130 30, and it's dropped down to as low as 30, losing 100 points with bear flags and wedges along the way. But this one I'd be careful with. I think that may have been a bottom. Capri, bear wedge, bear flag, bear wedge, breakdown. In essence, it's gone from 50 to 35, 34. Doesn't look any better here. Dillard's, big pop breakout on Friday, so I would cover this one, especially if it gets above 323. Dyno in the oil sector, story that I'd like to see, but still in a negative channel. If it fails here, it rolls over. If it doesn't, your stop is above 44. DVN, also an oil in a downtrend, could go either way, so we'll watch this one carefully. Fluor broke down from the bear flag and came down. Right now, it looks like it broke out Friday. That's a cover. NFE, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it looked like the fifth wave was breaking only to reverse again. Be careful, make sure you have a stop on this one above 32. Overstock just looks terrible and has all year, but again, I would put a stop on this one across there, 21.5, 22. PBH broke down, popped, and came down to the trend line and then tried to bounce again. Dicey looking, careful in here. PI, it's a rising bear wedge, but it's above resistance or right at it. Can't let this go any further, folks. PLNT dropped down from the bear wedge coil. They got slammed dunk, but reversed big on Friday. We'll have to see what that does. And finally, VTLE in the oil sector, same thing. The negative chart, lower trend, 35 and 30 are targets that it breaks. Folks, that's a look at it. The longs, the shorts, the technicals, the NASDAQ 100 generals, some of the major ETFs we follow. But a good look at what's going on in the markets, I believe, and something that you should review a couple of times to be prepared for next week. Have a great rest of your weekend. This is HB signing off. I'll talk to you later.